found you.
Oh, thank you very much. You found
He's
me.
been run over. Are there any broken bones?
No, he's all right.
Here, let me have
Leave
it.
her alone.
Born in a charity ward for unwed mothers and raised in the rubble of war-torn Italy, Sophia Loren had every reason to fail. Yet she vaulted from abject poverty to global stardom, captivating audiences with her unmistakable presence. How did a shy, underfed girl transform into one of the most enduring icons of cinema? Keep watching. Her real story is even more unexpected than her screen roles. The unlikely dream sparks. When the bombs finally ceased and the Allies liberated Italy, Sophia tasted a glimmer of hope inside a small movie theatre. Entire days would slip away in those dimly lit seats where she watched American films flicker on screen. Cary Grant, Tyrone Power, and other dashing leading men captured her imagination. She wanted to belong to that world of sweeping romances and epic adventures, a place that seemed galaxies away from her battered hometown. Yet it wasn't just a fantasy. Her mother believed those grand Hollywood sets might be Sophia's salvation. Romilda, still holding tight to her own unfulfilled movie star dreams, entered Sophia in a local beauty contest in Naples. There was one problem: they had no evening gown. Resourcefulness won out. Her grandmother literally took down the household drapes and stitched them into a makeshift dress. The audience might have been expecting polished elegance. Instead, a tall, shy teenager with fiery eyes stepped onto the stage wearing something that was, quite literally, part of her home. That night, Sophia won $35, several rolls of wallpaper, and most importantly, a train ticket to Rome. No one realized this small victory was the beginning of a cinematic legend, but that wasn't the whole story. An even bigger twist was lurking behind the curtain: new horizons and a secret affair. Rome was a haven for post-war film production, especially after Hollywood studios started shooting lavish sword and sandal epics on location in Italy. Sophia, now about 15, found work as an extra in the grand biblical spectacle Quo Vadis. She and her mother stood among thousands of costumed actors on those sprawling sets. It was meager pay and endless waiting, but for Sophia, it was a taste of show business. Between scenes, she caught glimpses of how film magic was made, absorbing every trick of the camera and every nuance of the director's commands. Her determination was noticed by certain industry insiders, and she landed small gigs in comic strip photo shoots, modeling for dramatic serialized magazines called fumetti. These roles came with a new stage name, Lazzaro, hinting that her looks were so mesmerizing they could awaken the dead, like Lazarus from biblical lore. The real turning point arrived when she met Carlo Ponti, an influential producer who would become her champion, mentor, and eventually her husband. The twist? Ponti was married, and in Catholic Italy, divorce was nearly impossible. Sophia had witnessed how the absence of a father nearly broke her spirit. Yet here she was, entangled with a married man whose wife refused to grant him freedom. It was a collision course between passion and strict societal norms, and the fallout proved to be explosive. Ponti arranged multiple screen tests for Sophia, determined to craft her into a star. Critics and cameramen complained about her tall stature, her strong nose, the fullness of her figure. Everything that didn't align with the slender silhouettes, typical of many Hollywood heroines. She wasn't a dainty flower. She was earthy, fiery, and unapologetically authentic. That raw magnetism, though unrefined at first, set her apart. Ponti's conviction was unshakable. He saw in her an undefinable quality that couldn't be faked or taught. Soon, Sophia found herself headlining small Italian films, building confidence with each new project. But behind the scenes, rumor whispered of her illicit romance with Ponti, a man 22 years her senior. Scandalous headlines erupted, calling her the second Romilda, another woman in love with a man she couldn't marry. She was stepping into her mother's shoes in more ways than one, and Italy's conservative press had no mercy. Yet the world of cinema embraced her. Roles in Aida, Attila, and Africa Under the Seas multiplied at breakneck speed. By the age of 19, she was carrying entire films on her back. Her comedic talent burst forth in The Gold of Naples, the brainchild of legendary director Vittorio De Sica and produced by Ponti and Dino De Laurentiis. Suddenly, Italy crowned her a star, pitting her directly against Gina Lollobrigida in the battle for the nation's top box office siren. The next target was global conquest, and for that, she'd aim right at Hollywood's heart, Cary Grant's temptation. When Sophia arrived in the United States, she was both enthralled and uneasy. Hollywood was a different beast. Everything felt bigger, shinier, and more intimidating. Paramount Pictures offered her a deal, gambling that she might become the next Brigitte Bardot or Anita Ekberg, whose European allure was shaking up the outdated American production code. Meanwhile, her personal life followed her across the ocean. She and Ponti, still unable to marry under Italian law, faced judgment from the pious back home. But that wouldn't be her only test. While filming The Pride and the Passion, Sophia's co-star was none other than Cary Grant. Suave, debonair, and older, he saw more than just an on-screen partner. As their scenes intensified, so did Grant's fascination. Hollywood buzzed with gossip that he was head over heels in love with this Italian newcomer. It was rumored that he actually proposed. But how could Sophia, desperate to legitimize her relationship with Ponti, betray the man who had guided her career from day one? The tension was palpable. Her heart tore in two directions. One path offered respectability and financial stability. The other promised a whirlwind romance with a global superstar. No matter what she chose, tabloids couldn't get enough of the scandal. It was as if each kiss on camera fanned the flames of speculation. She needed an escape, a moment to breathe. And that opportunity arrived with Boy on a Dolphin, a film set in the dazzling waters of Greece, far from the Hollywood rumor mill. But trouble has a way of following anyone who tries to outrun it. Floating across the Aegean waves, the cameras captured one of the most iconic images in mid-century cinema. Sophia emerging from the sea, her drenched shirt clinging to her silhouette. Public reaction was electric. Suddenly, she was more than just another Italian actress. She was a sensation. America was growing bolder about sex appeal on the big screen, and Sophia's presence fit the times perfectly. Yet behind that radiant allure, she still yearned for something so simple: the right to marry Carlo Ponti freely. Grant's courtship remained a temptation, but her loyalty to Ponti anchored her. The real heartbreak was knowing that no matter how high she climbed in Hollywood, Italy's laws still held her personal life in limbo. Bigamy, shock, and tabloid fury. Determined not to lose Sophia, Ponti made a drastic move. Working with lawyers in Mexico, he arranged a divorce from his wife by exploiting a legal loophole. He and Sophia wed there in 1957, or so they believed. Instead of celebrating wedded bliss, the newlyweds found themselves the target of vicious condemnation. In the eyes of Italy's Catholic establishment, their Mexican divorce was invalid, rendering Ponti still married. Outraged officials threatened bigamy charges. Headlines across the country branded them shameless and immoral. Even the Vatican condemned them, adding enormous pressure to the scandal. Unable to stomach the hostility, Sophia stayed in the United States for a stretch, focusing on her Paramount contract. She tackled Desire Under the Elms with Anthony Perkins, Houseboat with Cary Grant, and a string of other ventures. Critics noticed that while her English was serviceable, she never seemed fully comfortable delivering lines in a language that wasn't her own. Italy's favorite star was caught between worlds, embraced by American directors, yet scorned by her own homeland for an offense she couldn't easily fix. Whenever she landed at Rome's airport, Reporters hounded her with intrusive questions. Traditionalists demanded apologies that never came. She refused to apologize for love, and that unbreakable will would become a hallmark of her legend. Tragedies and triumphs. Time did eventually turn public opinion in Sophia's favor. The bitterness started to give way to admiration, partly because no scandal could overshadow her raw talent. The global film community began realizing this wasn't just a glamorous face with a shapely figure. There was profound depth behind those famous eyes. That depth exploded onto screens with two women, directed by the brilliant Vittorio De Sica. In a stroke of casting genius, he slotted 26-year-old Sophia into the role of a war-torn mother fighting to protect her teenage daughter in World War II Italy. The role demanded heartbreak, survival instincts, and gut-wrenching emotion. She poured every fragment of her own wartime experiences into that performance, recalling memories of bombs and bunkers that had shaped her childhood. Critics were stunned. She snagged the Cannes Film Festival Award, the British Academy Award, and an Oscar for Best Actress, all for a raw Italian-language film that took no shortcuts in depicting war's horrors. It was unprecedented for a foreign language role to earn such high honours at the Academy Awards, making Sophia Loren the first actress to achieve that milestone. Her reaction, upon receiving the news by telephone, became legendary. She was at home in Italy, convinced she had no chance of winning. Instead, she'd made history. This moment marked her shift from European sex symbol to universally respected actress. But beneath that shimmering trophy lay personal anguish. She desperately wanted children. Attempts to start a family led to multiple miscarriages, each more devastating than the last. A woman of unwavering resilience began to show emotional cracks. How could someone so successful on screen endure so much loss behind the scenes? Doctors even warned that another failed pregnancy might endanger her life. Yet she tried again, placing her trust in a Swiss specialist who administered daily injections and enforced strict bed rest for 9 months. The world followed breathlessly, cheering from afar. When she finally gave birth to her son, Carlo Jr., fans celebrated as though he was everyone's baby. Motherhood gave her a new sense of purpose, surpassing any film role in significance, imprisonment, and public scandal. Sophia's contentment, however, was short-lived. In a shocking twist, the Italian government accused her and Carlo Ponti of illegal financial maneuvers, charges that threatened her freedom if she dared to step back onto Italian soil. Rumours exploded. Accusations flew that they'd hidden massive sums of money abroad. Was this a witch hunt by officials still holding on to moral grudges? Or were the charges legitimate? With her mother aging and her own heart aching for home, Sophia made the bold choice to return to Italy, risking arrest for the sake of family ties. The authorities wasted no time. She was detained and, to global astonishment, served 17 days in prison for tax evasion. Reporters worldwide captured photos of the glamorous star behind bars, fueling sensational headlines. Yet even in that bleak environment, she retained her dignity. Onlookers and fellow inmates described her as polite, quiet, and composed. Carlo Ponti was eventually acquitted, and Sophia was released early. But the mark of that ordeal lingered. It seemed life was determined to test her at every turn. She also was well known for the most infamous side-eye in Hollywood history. In 1957, Hollywood's elite gathered at Romanoff's, a Beverly Hills hotspot, for a dinner hosted by Paramount Pictures to welcome Italian actress Sophia Loren to Tinseltown. Loren had recently taken Europe by storm, especially after her standout presence at the 1955 Cannes Film Festival. Maturity, on screen, and at home. Despite the trauma, or perhaps because of it, Sophia Loren entered a new chapter with a more settled aura. Back in the 1960s, she and Ponti had maneuvered to gain French citizenship to solve their marriage complications. By the mid-70s, she legally held a recognized union in Italy. She won a second Oscar nomination for Marriage Italian Style, re-teaming with her beloved co-star, Marcello Mastroianni. Over and over, she found herself shining in Italian-language films directed by maestros like Vittorio De Sica. That synergy brought out her best work, delivering an unfiltered connection to her roots. She also took on comedic roles and big Hollywood productions, such as the epic El Cid, Arabesque, and even a collaboration with Charlie Chaplin in A Countess from Hong Kong, co-starring Marlon Brando. Not all of these projects soared at the box office, but each added a layer to her global mystique. The film sets became fewer and farther between once she embraced motherhood, placing her sons Carlo Jr. and Eduardo at the center of her world. While tabloids chased the next big scandal, she found calm in domestic life. Observers often marveled that a woman once assaulted by near-constant gossip now seemed unaffected by the noise. She had 2 healthy children, a husband finally recognized as such in her own country, and a career she could steer on her own terms. It was an almost impossible feat for a once impoverished girl who'd known only chaos. Still, the losses weren't over. The passing of her mother, Romilda, struck a devastating blow. Their relationship had been complex. Romilda sometimes resented that Sophia achieved the movie star fame she herself had craved. Arguments flared, but love ultimately overshadowed those tensions, and Sophia was by her mother's side at the end. That heartbreak tested every shred of resilience she had left, the unbreakable legend. The star who once rose out of the sea for Boy on a Dolphin was now a mature woman celebrated for her depth, grace, and timeless appeal. The Academy presented her with an honorary Oscar in 1991 for her extraordinary contributions to world cinema. She remained an international figure, recognized even by those who'd never watched a black-and-white Italian film in their lives. As if to remind the world that age is just a number, she posed for an iconic calendar shoot in her 70s, outshining models half her age. Interviewers, photographers, and fashion experts noticed something intangible, a confidence that radiated even stronger than her youthful beauty ever had. Far from content to rest on past laurels, Sophia also became a vocal advocate for humanitarian causes. During her visits to Africa and other parts of the globe with the United Nations, people described her as warm and empathetic, a far cry from the aloof starlet some assumed she might be. She took on new creative pursuits, wrote cookbooks, and even provided voiceover work that won her a Grammy Award. Her life proved that if you refuse to give in, if you stand tall in your truth, you can outlast any hardship. Each time tabloids predicted the end of her fame, she emerged stronger, captivating the public with her unwavering poise. In a world where celebrities often burn out or break under pressure, Sophia Loren remains the exception. Her path was never easy. Illegitimacy, relentless poverty, a father who refused to take responsibility, a forbidden relationship with a married man, multiple miscarriages, accusations of bigamy, the heartbreak of an infamous prison stint. Every chapter of her life story is a testament to resilience. If you strip away the glamorous gowns and the red carpets, you find a woman who refused to be defeated. Yes, she boasted mesmerizing looks, but what truly set her apart was that inner will forged in the crucible of war-torn Italy. Even now, new generations discover her old interviews and classic films, often stunned that a figure from decades past can feel so modern, so relatable. She possessed a sense of humor that sparkled beneath the surface, a determination to challenge suffocating social norms, and a defiant willingness to love who she chose, no matter the scandal. From Cary Grant's overtures to the Vatican's condemnations, from that first pageant gown stitched from curtains to the celebrated cameo in high-fashion magazine spreads, her life arcs like a cinematic masterpiece of epic proportions. Sophia Loren's life proves that even the harshest obstacles, poverty, scandal, and even prison, don't stand a chance against raw determination. By reinventing herself and refusing to bow to old-world traditions, she turned every setback into triumph. Next time you see her unforgettable smile, remember, it belongs to a survivor whose greatest role was never just in movies, but in shaping her own fate.